Well, I got my rims painted black, and the lug holes deleted, so it's just four now. I welded and plug welded them, and I got these new tires and tubes, and so I'm doing this in my living room because it's freaking cold as hell outside. So get these all mounted up. All right, oh my goodness! So this one is all mounted up. So is the other one, and this is a 3.5-inch wide tire on a 4-inch rim, and that worked out just fine. Doesn't even look like it stretched or anything, but it really did. But obviously there's old lug holes. There's a good side. So I have this one there, and I got my steering 14mm hem joints in right here. I have 4 of them for top and bottom of each side of the spindle. 14mm, freaking huge. So these do pretty good. Adjustable camber too. So I got one all set up. Not all set up, but went out, got a 14mm bolt and a 14mm nut. So that fits in there awesome, as expected. And now I'm in the process of making the end to the beam here. I just kind of tied the beam there, but just so I can get an idea of measuring. So I'm gonna. This is from the winch project. So I'm gonna measure how much I need, but I might have to cut out a little bit more. But I'm just using the flat part of it. So I'm gonna grind this flush, and then just measure how much I need, because I'm gonna be drilling a hole for the top, drilling a hole for the bottom, and so I just need to cut this out for a template, make another one, and then I gotta figure out how wide I want the axle. This is pretty much how wide I want it. On this side, at least, from center to there, so I just got to measure from there to there. I can finish cut the axle, and I have to put any camber on the axle if I need to or not, and then I can weld those up. Okay, so I got my end piece cut out, and all the holes, center sections where I need marked. I got a couple lines or whatever, and this is some kind of hole that was previously there, so just kind of disregard that. But I got my friggin' pig iron, went to Harbor Freight. Friggin' never get to go there because it's like 45 minutes away. But I got this center punch thing, and I got these step drill bits because the friggin' real good ones are like $50 or something. That's for just for like 2 or whatever. So I'm gonna friggin' use the center punch and then see how these things do. Well, I'm working on drilling the holes, and I'm using this punch where, like, you press it down enough, and it, clicks and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So, like, that works really well. That's from Harbor Freight, and these step drill bits from Harbor Freight. And oh my goodness, I have been missing out. These things just drill the holes like butter. As you can see, this is my first attempt, and apparently I goofed up on some calculations, and so yeah, goofed up. So anyways, got plenty of this other stuff, so that's how I got that set up, and I'm going to drill, and I'm going to kind of mock up the spindle. I don't have all the nuts. The Tractor Supply only had, well, they don't, I need like 8 more 14mm nuts, like these things. And so one can go on one side, one can go on the other. Same for the bottom, same for the other side. They just didn't have enough of them because they're freaking goofs. And they're not jam nuts, they're like normal nuts too. And I was looking for jam nuts, but like, we're in America, so it's obviously we can't find much in the metric aisle. So yeah, I'll get this all mocked up and show you how it looks. Ta-da! See, it's freaking all angulated and all the stuff, and you can kind of see that they're pointed up a little bit because I think that the beam, I don't know, I think that the beam is might have hit the nuts or something, or when you add camber, this is going to start pointing down, so if I angle them up now, then they'll just be level when I kick that one out and then push that one in, so I get the friggin' 3 degrees or 5 or whatever I decide. That's the enjoyable part of the setup, is that I can set camber. But anyways, so these are 14mm bolts. They go down, and I just have nuts on them now, but I do have lock washers that'll be going on the bottom there. Then I got a flat washer in between for spacing, and same with the bottom and everything. These are 14mm nuts, 14mm hem stems. I'll be having another nut on the other side, so this thing can be butted out a little bit more, at least at least a nut's width. Anyways, but yeah, that's how I'm gonna have the adjustable camber. It's a pretty popular setup in lawnmower racing, except just mine has ATV spindles, which wasn't that hard to adapt to. So this part gets welded to the axle now, but I'm just gonna start making another one. I'm just gonna make a duplicate of this. This came out really good, so I can weld that to the axle, and then I'll pretty much have a rolling axle, I guess, but still missing these nuts here. So kind of expensive, all this hardware. Like, I have four of these bolts. I have I'm going to need, like, I think 16 or 12 of these. I'm going to need 16 actually of I'll be having 16 of these nuts here. I'll have 4 lock washers, 4 flat spacers. It's like $26 for all the hardware, and including for the 700 over here, it's upside down. I bought 6 grade 8 5/16 bolts and locking washers for that too. So it's $26 for all that hardware, which is pretty expensive, not including the 8 more nuts I need to get, 14mm nuts, and I'll probably have to like jump from one Tractor Supply store to the other one. So whatever, I guess that's just how it is. I wish that metric had more available, but anyways, that's how I'm going to have the tie rod too. This will just be going to the center. I'm going to have to chop the rod down a little bit, but that's still a ways off. But I'm going to get the other one made and get this all friggin' glued together on the axle, and then have the axle friggin' up on there and yada yada, and it'll be pretty cool. Oh my goodness. So this is a 15-inch axle beam. It's a 4x2, and I got those plates welded up on the ends, and that's 8 degrees. It's 8 degrees castered, and it's going to help at speed and turning mostly. And I use this. This is for wood making, but you can kind of see. You can't really see, but there's 90 degrees, and then you go 8 over, so that's 82 degrees, and then I hold it up underneath, get it all when it was loose or whatever, not tacked or anything, and then I get that just right, and then I weld it in, and so that's what 8 degrees looks like. But this will be welded 90 degrees to the frame rail, this beam. So I'm going to get this, I'm going to pull the motor off, and put that somewhere, and then put this, and then just tack it on, and then maybe cut out some triangles to go from here to the frame, and you'll see what I mean. But that's my plan, so I'm going to get to it, get the thing tacked on there, and more steps towards a rolling chassis. Oh my friggin' goodness, it's welded on the frame. You see I got the engine sitting behind it, but I did a couple seam welds, or a couple beads to the box itself, then I added these 3 gussets and welded them all solid. And I'm not sure if you'll be able to see here on the back side. Yeah, see there's a couple welds and whatever. And once I do exhaust, because I'll have exhaust running on right behind this beam, like 2 rows of pipe, then I can add some gussets on the side, on the corners here. And I think I'll just put 2 there, and that'll be plenty solid. I'm about to weld up the engine plate that's bolted to the engine. It's pretty much all centered up. And then back here, the axle is sitting all by itself. I did a whole bunch of measuring or whatever, and then I welded these on. Get the light over here. And I welded those plates on. And then I welded these gussets, these fancy little gussets here. That should make the axle real strong. I got to figure a way out to keep the bearing from popping out of the this right here. I got to figure out to keep it from coming out. Maybe just some kind of clamp or whatever. But same over here. But that one's not going to come out. As you see, it's all bent up because it had to kind of come back to the frame rail after the differential. I'll be locking it. But there's I made one fancy gusset so far, and really packed that in with weld. But that's strong. It's just kind of hard to make those. I had to make a cardboard template, but I'll be making one for the front too. And first I'm just going to weld up this engine, and once I get that gusset made I can start working on a transmission mount. So, coming together.